So, welcome to another episode of the Success Agent podcast. And I am JP Fluellen, your host. And in today's episode, we have Debbie DiMaggio. You guys have probably heard that name because if you don't know that name, then you're dead. But otherwise, I'm here with Debbie, and we're just gonna jump right in. We'll talk about real estate, why we do it, how long we've been doing it, and we're just going to give you guys some nuggets and drop some bombs for you today. And so, Debbie, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll jump right in.
Sure. My name's Debbie DiMaggio, third cousins to Joe DiMaggio. People who know me sometimes they never ask, and sometimes a stranger will ask, "Are you related to Joe DiMaggio?" And I'll say yes. And then the person I've known most of my life, I didn't know that. And I did not anticipate going into real estate. The only thing I knew I did not want to do when I was growing up was real estate. My dad was in real estate. He was a syndicator, bought and sold property, and he was tied to a phone. Well, at the time, I realize now it was landline. We didn't have all the technology, being able to work from anywhere. So I said, and he was always tied up, working as we still are today in real estate, and that will never change, which is fine because we can work from anywhere. I worked for some people after college and didn't like having a boss, and I ended up getting into luxury rentals in San Francisco. I love the fast pace. People aren't really tied to a rental like when they buy. So it was pretty easy to just put tenants together and make a commission. At the time, everything was, there was no Craigslist. We weren't using an MLS. It was like, I would call so-and-so the Pellegrinis. We'd have a little black book and we'd write the listing down and then we'd go out. And there was a lot of relocation companies at the time. And that's how I was able to break into real estate. I had some great relo companies who fed me a lot of business on the rental end. And then when we moved over from San Francisco to the East Bay to Piedmont, where we raised our kids, I got into selling real estate, grew up in the community of Piedmont. So that, was really helpful in building my career. And I got really involved in charity work and just raising the family. And 35 years later, I'm now getting organized on how to actually obtain, find clients in a different way than just, before it was open houses. And now I'm trying to be more formal about it. So I could share after 35 years, I'm like starting from the beginning in a whole different way.
Yeah, yeah. No, so let's unpack that a little bit. Like what are so I got in, I've been in the game for 16 years. So they
Okay.
had just retired MLS books when I got in. And so we went from I think only for the first year that I was in, we had physical signatures, fax
Oh,
machines, the MLS book, all that stuff. And they had just retired all that stuff. And I was always of the mindset of the internet age. I got in when Zillow first started and Realtor.com started jumping on the scene and all of these online, like shiny objects that were
right.
jumping into the real estate space. And so I spent a lot of my time jumping into that because I came from like this, I started in the smartphone world. So, I wanted to figure out how the least amount of moving pieces I could do a real estate deal. Like if I don't have to drive across town, I don't want to. If I don't have to meet an agent, I don't want to, And so I was trying to figure out exactly what this like magical world I could create. And a lot of the old school agents would get so mad at me and they're like, well, I don't even know who this is. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I've got a pre-approved buyer. Like, why are you asking me these questions? Like, just take my offer. And that's where it was like really for me, like I was in this like huge transition, almost like when going from MLS books to MLS automation, and then now we're going into this new age of AI, which is
Oh my
creating
gosh.
this whole other rift of the next like industrial revolution in real estate.
Right.
And trying to get a lot of the older agents to get on board was really like confrontational.
It's
And,
very hard to get
and
them to get up to speed or want to. So I was in real estate and then the internet had started and you're funny. You're like, I don't want to talk, see the people. I was like, why is someone going to email me? Why don't they just pick up the phone? I want to talk to them. I want to see them. I was still like, no, pick up the phone. I'm not going to email you. I hated email. I did not want to adopt that. And then I was in the middle of a deal. The deal closed. And then all of a sudden on my phone, I saw these things and I was like, what's that? And it was a text message. And my clients were young and they had been texting me. I never received them. I didn't know what a text message, which I'd never heard of a text message. And her name's Brooke Facente, and I sold 3 houses with her, and I never knew what texting, and she was texting me, and thank God the deal closed because she probably thought I was ignoring her. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
no,
came in and you were embracing all that. I
yeah,
had
I
to
was
learn all.
embracing a lot of it, trying to just figure out like exactly how to get, because I'm at the time when I first started, I was in a brand new market. As we talked earlier, I'm in another brand new market. So I'm hoping that all these skills I've learned over the years are
Right.
able to
Well,
be
translate.
in, translate over to the new way of getting going. And my thought process is I should be able to do it a lot faster. Not 3 years till I get to my fourth year in real estate. I had my best year ever,
Right.
and hopefully being able to supercharge that process in order to get to where I want to get to a lot faster. So this is like very good proof that, from coaching and mentoring and, new agents and like this is what you need to do to get started and all these kinds of things. I'm now having to coach myself,
Right.
and seeing if those it's not just theory, it's
Right.
actual reality.
Well,
And
let me help you. Let me help you because as a realtor of 35 years, it's come naturally. I've always loved to give back and help people. And so I've been coaching people along the way. And I coach 80 agents in my office, but then I coach people all over the country through Zoom. But one of the things that I am now adopting 35 years later is more formal marketing, not just randomly going to an event and thinking you're going to meet someone and having no direction. You absolutely, and I want you to join the BNI group, Business Networking International is, have you heard of BNI?
I have.
Yeah,
One of the challenges I had with the BNIs that was part of over the years was because they only allow one
right. It's hard to
profession
get
from
in.
each
Yeah.
group. It's hard to get in.
Yeah.
And then, I keep hearing like, well, just start your own BNI group.
Oh, yeah,
Call
you
it
could do.
something else, call it whatever, call it,
No, no, you can still start a BNI group in the area. There's many in the Bay Area that you can start another one. It does take work, but and you can apply this principle. So let me go over the principle with you.
yeah,
So
let's hear
I'm just so excited about it. So I'm an overachiever. If someone tells me to do something, I follow the rules. So in
it.
in BNI, you have an app, a BNI app, and every week so a lot of meetings now since COVID happened are on Zoom. We have and you're invited to mine on Wednesdays at 7:50 on Zoom, except for the first Wednesday of the month is in person. So I invite guests. Guests can come from anywhere to be and see how our BNI group runs. They all run it a little differently. And so every week we do a one-on-one. So if you're in the BNI group right now, I would be logging you into my BNI app that you and I just did a one-on-one. We're here to get to know each other. How can I help you? And for me as a realtor, I do want to meet realtors from around the world because if I have a client or one of my agents has a client, I want to be able to refer to someone good who I know I've spoken to. I feel like he or she is a good agent and will take care of our client. So one on one, it's 15 minutes. You can do on Zoom, you can do in person. So for you moving now from Wyoming to Missouri, you're going to be meeting new people. So you really want to make an effort to meet people one on one and have coffees or have Zooms or whatever. So, and for you as a realtor, you can start meeting professionals would be an easier one because professionals like to meet other professionals for business. And then the other thing is we do a CEU, a continuing education unit. So you can listen on Spotify to Dr. Meisner, who started it, or any other kind of lifelong learning skills. And then one referral. So I'm all every week. And so that means passing a referral to someone who's moving to Missouri. I would refer it to you or someone in a group, or it could be anyone. It doesn't have just anyone in BNI international. If I refer, I get a credit. So I'm always every week number one of the referrals. I refer so many people. It's so easy for me to refer. Yesterday I already did 3 one-on-ones with people in my BNI group. So It's a great focused way to get to know other people. And what's cool about it is everyone, it's called giver's gain. So everyone wants to help everyone, but you're meeting people and talking to people who really they subscribe to the professional networking. It's not just a random thing. So I think that's one thing that you might like to do. And I'd love to have you join my group. It's an hour. It's very concise. It's not wasted time. It doesn't go over. It's very, very pointed. So it would be fun to have you and you can hear how it goes. And if you want to start your
Yeah.
own group, you can.
No, that sounds awesome. I think that that's definitely getting kind of a good framework and just how you guys do it. That would be awesome. I appreciate the invite. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it would be great.
And
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
so you're a brand new agent, you've done your BNIs, you're trying to get to 4 deals a month because I'm an overachiever. And so just I have like if you have an agent that's come on, their experience, they've only done 1 or 2 deals, they've been in the business for 3 years, they just can't get traction.
Hmm.
They're doing BNI, but the BNI group is doing okay, but they want to do that 4 deals a month.
Hmm.
What are your advice to someone that wants to just like get it, just get after it? Like they've got all the time in the world, but they don't know what they're doing.
I think the first thing that happens is they work so hard to get their license and then they get in it and then they're like, wow, this is a lot of work. And where are the clients? I did an open house and where's my client? So you have to be really dedicated. So don't get into this business if you're not going to work hard and, keep your day job or keep your bartending job or whatever, because it's going to be tough. So I actually have a program. I have a program on school.com. You can go see my program, which is called Foundation for Success. Every business needs a strong foundation to grow and build and to get better. And so it talks about the 5 pillars. First, social media. Let everyone know you're a realtor. Go on LinkedIn, go on Alignable, go on Twitter or whatever, X, Facebook. Make sure you're everywhere. Even like people freak out. Oh, I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. Just make sure you have an account with your contact information, your proper company. If you change companies, change your name and your phone number. You can't be a secret agent. People need to be able to get in touch with you. So get your social media set up. Then you're going to want to start a newsletter. So even if you have, like, you're moving from Wyoming to Missouri, keep those SOI, those sphere of influence people and business people on your newsletter. You want to touch people, so you need to create a newsletter. I coach this, so when people are like, well, where do I start? That's what I help people get these foundations in order. It's also doing these one-on-ones and personal contacts and touches and making appointments. You also want to, what was the other one? So one of the well, podcasts, of course, is another one. Getting on podcasts, getting out in front of people, also organizing events. I did a workshop called Seniors Next Chapter. A lot of baby boomers and seniors are, we have a lot of baby boomers. They're boomers and they're, getting older and they're going to need to figure out where they're going to go into a community living or where retirement community assisted living. And so I did a seminar a workshop to educate these people who will either be helping their parents or the older generation also attended. So if you go to seniorsnextchapter.com, you can read the types of people I had speaking at it. And so not only when you host the event, there's all the pre-marketing on social media, e-blast, emails, right? So there's all that momentum. And then make sure at the event you have some paper, notepads, whatever for them, handouts, and you have a photographer, a professional photographer taking photos so you can document the event long after and continue with the social media. So those are just a few of the things. It's called Foundation for Success, and you can go to foundation, the number 4, success.co, and you can see that program. I'm happy to coach it because you look at it and some people might be overwhelmed, like, where do I start? There is a little tech involved. So and then the other thing is super important is, your sphere of influence. You've got to keep in touch with the people and nurture them over time. And then you have to do open houses. Those new agents, where are they going to meet people? Where are you going to be in front of people who are looking to buy or looking to sell, right? There's people who come to the open houses that aren't necessarily buyers and they're looky-loos, let's say, but a lot of times they are sellers and they're watching you. So That's what I would think the first thing that you'd want to do when you get to your new city is to be at open houses, be front and center, let people see you, touch you, feel you.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the key things. I've got an agent right now that I've got started, and I said, dude, like I'm telling you, open houses, everybody's like, "Oh, open houses don't sell houses." We know that. We know they don't sell houses. We want you in front of people, and we know that you can get leads from them, and so you can get one-to-one interaction. It's the lowest cost for
Exactly.
the least amount of effort to get leads. And
Exactly.
still agents are like, I don't want to do open house. I don't want to leave the house. I want to try to build my TikTok and, do all these
Oh
things. And
God.
it's like you're going to spend way more time trying to build that than you are going to get leads from open houses.
Oh my God. That I would just be pulling my hair out if he said that to me. I'd be
Yeah.
like, get
I had
out.
an agent I was tried to recruit, and I was like, if you just do 4 open houses a weekend, I mean, you're going to be up to one deal a month within 90 days. If you can do 4 open houses a weekend, you're going to find two or three nuggets, every single weekend. And eventually one of them's going to want to buy. And now he's got 3 deals going. And
Wow. I
so he
love
just
that.
started. He just started a month ago. And
Wow.
yeah. And this is in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where we don't have a ton of
Wow.
people. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's
So it's
incredible.
it's amazing how those what we consider old school tactics, they still work.
They
And
absolutely,
and open houses are probably more effective than mailers, more effective than social media, any of that stuff, But
absolutely.
and then again, if you want your stuff to live after the event, like you
Yes.
said, get photography. That is probably my worst um, my, gift is documentation. I suck
Yeah.
at documentation.
Yeah.
I just forget. I'm like, oh, I probably should take a bunch of pictures and photos,
Right.
video, and all this kind of stuff, and I just forget. And I spend all this money, and you're like, you want your stuff to live on after that.
I
So
know.
the senior focus thing, I've not heard that. I've been doing this a long time. I've
Okay.
interviewed a lot
Yeah.
of people over the years. So tell me,
Yeah.
is this at the
Yeah.
senior center?
No, no.
Where do
So
you
let
hold
me
the event?
let me start back 20 years ago. So I wrote a couple books, The Art of Real Estate and 52 Ways to Achieve Success in Real Estate. And so I said, all right, I'm going to host an event. The first one was in my small community. It was the Piedmont Center for the Arts. I had invited the community. I targeted people who'd lived in their homes 20 years or longer, a mailing, invited them, put it in the local newspaper. I was hosting this event. And the first one was called Demystifying the Downsizing Process. And at the end, I was just giving my books away. So I had people come in, I had a PowerPoint presentation. I was just going through the steps of how, they've been in their house forever. They have all this stuff. They're like, where do I go? What do I do? How do I do it? So I went through the steps from preparing a home to market and how we do that and obtain bids for the painting and the staging and the repairs and that we handle all that. And I went through all the pre-inspections that we do. And I just walked them through it. I also had a mortgage person there and a financial planner there. So it was a little wine and cheese, sit down, presentation, Q&A afterwards. Just kind of demystified it because they've been living in their house 20, 30 years. So I did that 20 years ago, let's say. And then I had a notepad, Debbie DiMaggio notepad. And when I went, I don't know, 15 years later, someone called me and she like had the notepad in her house and we sold her house for 4 million and it was great. She's like, I knew I was going to use you.
That's
It took a
awesome.
while, but she's like, I knew I was going to use you. I wasn't ready then, but so, you have to get in front of people. This is like an open house on steroids, let's say, right? So they get to know you, they get to see you, touch you, feel you. What I say is that we are like celebrities, right? People, they see us, we're marketing all the time. That's what we have to do. We have to get to know people. Celebrities do the same thing. So, you know, we have to make ourselves accessible to them.
Yeah.
And so they see us, they're like, oh, hi, Debbie, I know you. And I'm like, oh, I don't think you do. You just see me all the time, right? It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like, so we're famous in a different kind
Yeah.
of way.
Do you get that people think that they know you because they know the name, the last name?
Yeah, or no, not even the last name makes it more familiar, but they've
Sure.
just seen you around and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
they've seen you at an open house and you don't remember. You're nice to everyone, but you don't
Yeah.
remember if you met them 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's you're building your reputation over years, right? You never know when the next person's going to come. So the one that we just did, so for you and anyone who wants to go to seniorsnextchapter.com, you'll see the people I invited to be in the workshop, and I targeted my sphere of influence. I put it in 2 months before. I put it in the two local newspapers. I wrote an article about seniors. Actually, I now write an article in one of the papers for specifically for seniors in the community. And so very targeted. I write blogs on that. I post blogs on that. If you go to AI and you type in, and I don't know if you're in Wyoming, if my name's going to come up, but I typed in AI, what realtors specialize in seniors downsizing, and my name came up, but I don't know if that
That's
was because I
awesome.
and so I had someone who helps people with not only the decluttering, but the moving, whether they're donating the stuff or taking the stuff with them or stuff's being sent to a relative, so they do the whole breakdown. That's my move person, the downsizing person. And then I had someone talk about long-term care insurance. And then I had someone who, she's a consultant to help move you. She'll take you around and show you different senior centers, senior groups, senior, retirement communities, assisted living communities. At that point, she's not taking you a dementia unless it's really people who are going to,
Yeah.
they're still in good shape and they just need to downsize and move to where there's more community for them and things to do. And I had, of course, a mortgage broker and stuff. So we had a group of people, had a photographer there, it was morning. So we tried to figure the best time for seniors. And we did it on a It was really, we were struggling when we ended up doing it in our real estate office because we couldn't find a neutral place. I didn't want to have it at my real estate office because I didn't want them to think, well, we're only here to sell, make you sell your house. I wanted to be neutral. I wasn't able to do that. But we had it in our offices and it's right in the middle of town. So it was very easy for people.
Yeah.
And so we just did a little meet and greet. Then we did our presentation and people were able to ask questions and people had notepads that we had given them and they were taking notes. And it continues to live because people will call me and they're, oh, can you introduce me to the trust attorney that was there? Can you introduce me to the long-term care? So it continues to live on. And so that's another thing is just taking that information and then also the notebooks that I put together for them. If people weren't able to attend, I would drop off those, and I had a list of all the people in their bios who attended the group.
No,
So it
that's
was
that's a great niche. Yeah, they're kind of like seniors are the forgotten generation,
yeah,
People don't realize like, oh, I'm just trying to market to the 40 to 50 somethings because they're still working and they got careers, da, 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 da. And I'm like, dude, the baby boomers are like
yeah,
out the door right now. These are like high net worth people that
right,
really know how to do this exit plan.
right.
I hear a lot of times like, oh, I'm just gonna live here till I die and then give my house to my kids, and your kids don't want your house. They
No,
don't,
they're not going
and
back. They're not going back.
they are not going back and they don't want your stuff and they don't want to deal with it and they don't because it just costs them money and they don't understand. Um, I've taken a few of those reverse mortgage classes, and they always
hmm
target seniors for reverse mortgages and they always want to like, well, your house isn't updated. It needs a lot of work. You have all your stuff and you've had stuff since your kids were kids and now they're in their 50s and you still have their baby blankets and stuff and they don't want their old stuff. They've
Right,
lived their lives by now. And so now it's just one of those things where it's just like a museum that no one's ever going to visit.
right, exactly. They don't want the antiques.
No, they don't. And what people call antiques are just trash,
Yeah, you can't
or
even sell them.
exactly. Well, you don't know about that. I actually had a conversation with a lady a couple weeks ago, and she was like, "Oh, I've got 6 sets of china from all the
Oh,
different families." And I'm like, "When was the last time you looked at this stuff?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't even know. I know it's in a box somewhere." And I'm like, "Well, then what do you have it for? I don't
no.
understand." And then you're paying for storage units to put stuff in there that no one's ever going to see,
Right.
and
No, that's the
so
worst. You do not want to pay for storage units. And
no,
just I try to tell people about just donate it. Donate, like we donate. I donate a lot to Children's Hospital and they make money. People buy it and then the hospital makes money. So you're putting it to a good cause, right? They're going to sell it. They're going to make money. It's going to go to the hospital. It's not going to go to waste, but it's going to be, people have looked to, to sell their china and you don't get it. I mean, it's more to ship it than it is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, and my mom gave me some china from somewhere. No, I haven't even know. I think I open it up once a year when we have Thanksgiving. We use the china because everyone's afraid to eat on it because it'll break, and I think we
It's
have
like
some,
grandma's living room.
yes, and some silver plated silverware that I think is toxic because
Didn't even think about that.
because I'm like, well, what's this tarnish on here? Is that edible? Like this is good, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's not good. So no, this is awesome. Yeah. And what was you said you had a book that you've
Oh,
written?
so yeah, I've written a couple. So my first one was Contain Beauty, Photographs, Reflections in Swimming Pools. It was the first couple of books were therapy. My kids were going to college and I was super hit hard by the empty nest. So
Yeah.
I started with a beautiful coffee table book. It was just a labor of love. And then from that, the publisher said, you need to write a real estate book. And I'm like, oh, one day I'll do it. And he's like, no, no, you need to do it now. So I did the art of real estate. And then someone in Vermont found me and said, "Oh, you should write 52 rules, 52 ways to achieve success in real estate." I said, "Oh no." And she said, "No, you have it. You just have in that book of the art of real estate, I'll just pull out the 52 rules." So did that. And then over COVID, I wrote Beauty at Any Age because age is just an attitude. It was actually just talking about, it's not expensive to keep yourself up and healthy. And the reason I actually did it was watching my mother-in-law, who was in her 80s. She like took up golf. She had so much community around her from her community where she lived. She was taking ukulele and golf lessons and water aerobics, and she was going on train trips in Colorado. But it's so important because the older people are starting to isolate themselves. They need to be around community. So I talk about building community when you're younger and getting into hobbies. So you're not sitting there by yourself. Maybe your spouse passes and you're alone. Someone I'm taking out to lunch after this podcast, she's 89 and she's alone. So I take her out quite often. And then the one I'm writing now, which I'm really excited for, is called Mindset in Motion. And it's a 5-step program. It's called the Mindset in Motion Method. And I'll just give you a high level of it. It talks, I do everything on mindset. I kind of reversed engineered everything I've done. And so one of them was right before my 60th birthday last year. I said, "Oh, I'm going to run a half marathon." And I had run one when I was 20 once before. And I don't run. I mean, I've run throughout my life a little bit here and there, but never as a big runner. So in January, I ran a couple miles and whatever. And then I just started entering races. So I did a couple 10Ks and, it was flat where I was going. Then I did a half marathon. And then I was like, I'm going to do the LA marathon. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want anyone to know because they'd be like, you're crazy. You don't even run. And so I had to tell my husband right before. I said, you have to come to LA with me. I'm running the LA marathon. And he knows I'm crazy. So he didn't say anything. He's like, all right, fine. And so when I was on the bus. He dropped me out downtown LA, and then you get on this bus to take you to the front line. And the starting line, I was sitting next to this young man, and he's like, "Oh, I just ran over the San Mateo Bridge, 26 miles, and I did this and that." And I'm like, "Please do not ask me what I did to train. Please do not ask me." I read books. I immersed myself into the military mindset. I read You Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins' book. I
Oh
said,
yeah.
I'm doing this on mindset. There's no way he should have done what he did, going through testing 3 times for the Navy SEALs. Like, that's ridiculous. He was 300 pounds. Like, come on. I could do this. And so I did it. So, mindset and motion method is really just about that. I reversed engineering. I have a 5-step program and I'm working on that book, and hopefully it'll be out in October.
That's awesome.
I'm real
Yeah,
excited.
the book writing process is insane. I just wrote a little 70-page book called this is during COVID because everybody had all this
Yeah.
time called The Real Estate Brain: 7 Hacks on How to Buy a Home.
Okay.
And this was my venting because I was super frustrated with the real estate industry and just how we've done such a poor job as an industry preparing buyers to buy homes.
Hmm.
And NAR is supposed to be doing all this stuff, and and realtors are supposed to be sitting down with their clients and having an actual education before you actually start running around showing houses because they don't know. You're out
No.
running, you're out showing a house and they're just like, can I put in an offer? And I'm like, well, are you pre-qualified? What's pre-qualified? Like, where are you supposed to get them? Where are you getting the money from? Well, I thought you guys did all that. And
Oh,
I'm like, and or the realtors wear all the hats.
right.
A lot of times, like I've had people call me and they start giving me their credit score and telling me where they work and how much money they
Oh,
make, and
wow.
what their debt is, and all this stuff.
I'm
And I'm
like,
like, whoa, 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 whoa! I don't do that stuff. I don't
yeah,
do. I'm not gonna get you that piece of paper you need. You need to
yeah.
call the bank, you know. And so it's funny just how we've set up for such a poor poor job of just getting this education out there. And so this was like a really quick way for me to just like interview some
Love it.
agents, figure out what your wants and needs list is, figure out what your budget is, where you want to be, like, and then I give these examples of these deals that just kind of went horribly wrong, because they were set up not properly. And then the buyer's mad, or they don't commit to an agent because they think that because you're online, you're all part of the same group, you know,
Oh,
and
right,
you
right.
know, and they're like, oh, you wear a realtor badge, you're the same as everybody else, and the next thing
Oh,
you
got it.
know, you're out showing a house, and then someone's showing the client that you just showed a house yesterday, showing that same house with a different agent. And I've done the
Oh
whole
my
like
God.
awkward wave, because you're like, I just
Right.
yesterday, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
so this was just all out of this very frustrated part of my life, and it was really therapy
Right.
for me rather than
Yeah,
her,
absolutely.
and gotten through
I
all
mean,
that.
that is just to piggyback on what you said. That's the very first thing I do when someone says they want to buy a house. I said, are you pre-approved? Usually it's no. I said, let me connect you with Zach so you can get pre-approved. I'll send you some listings and what you think your price is just so you can get an idea of it. Let's get you pre-approved because we can't make an offer without a pre-approval letter here. And so they do that. And then I also say, and this is what I say in my 45-second pitch every Wednesday at my BNI group, I don't mind if someone's going to buy a house tomorrow, a year, 5 years from now. I want to build a relationship. I want to get them set up with my lenders so they know and they can save for if it is going to be down the road. Plan today. Don't feel like you're wasting our time, right? We want to educate you now so you are prepared. It's not a waste of time. And you really have to beat that into your head. It's not a waste of time. I don't care if you're not buying tomorrow. I want to educate you so you're prepared when the time comes.
Yep. Get them in your world so they don't want to go somewhere else.
That
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
just educate them because they don't know and they're really and then all of a sudden they learn later, oh, I should have been saving a little bit. So get on a plan ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. Is there anything that we should talk about that I haven't talked about yet?
No, I think it's good. I'd like to invite you to my BNI group and I'll come back when Mindset in Motion is launched. And I'd love to have you on my podcast, Mastering the Art of Real Estate.
That's awesome. Let's do it. So if there's anybody out there that needs to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
DebbieDiMaggio.com or just text me or call me at 510-414-6777. I'm an open book. If you have any questions, I'm happy to give it all to you.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being on our podcast today. And for those of you out there that are just reaching out for the first time, make sure you give us a 5 star because we like to gamify the algorithm so that this can pop up when you least expect it in the situation that best fits your situation today. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Thank you.
There we go.